am okay, I am okay.
And now that you've seen that, this is what's left of my race car. Not bad considering 200 plus mile an hour rollover. No injuries, no major structural damage to the car. It's obviously here on the frame machine getting straightened out. Wanted to just take a minute, talk about kind of what happened, what I saw from my perspective, and most importantly, talk about the safety that was in the car and what worked so well to keep me safe and allow me to just step out of the car when all that happened. And jump over here. So this is the in-car. Got a shout out to Delaware Chassis Works. Joe down there has been working with me since day one on this car. He did the original cage structure. I've since gone in and added the funny car and some other stuff as speeds increased, but he did the cage, he did the seat mount, he did the original parachute mounts, the harness mounts, fire system placement, all the details that you need to have right on something like this. The containment seat and 6-point harness are from Ultra Shield Race Products. Again, shout out to those guys. That seat is super comfortable, and obviously I did not move a whole lot during this whole thing, and walked away. Again, I didn't even have a bruise from the belts. Obviously, I'm wearing all the proper equipment: helmet, Hans, fire suit, arm restraints, gloves, boots, socks, underwear. I mean, everything was in place. My belts were tight as could be. My visor was down. Everything was right, and we pride ourselves on doing that. Unfortunately, this is just something that we've planned for, and it happened at a much lower speed than it could have. It happened in such a way that the rollover was fairly gentle, in all things considering. We do not have a definitive answer as to what went wrong, but the left front tire was down at the at the conclusion of all this, and it was torn off the outer bead towards the inner bead and jammed up into the inner fender well. So we're thinking the left front went down at some point. Whether it was a blowout or not, we don't know. There's no video. There's no real indication either way. We're really careful about checking the tires after every pass, but then you have to drive back to the starting line and could have picked something up there, whether it was just a tire failure. Who knows? Nobody makes a tire for what we're doing, so we run with what we have. So there is no smoking gun, unfortunately. We don't have video from outside of the car on that side to see exactly what happened. But the way the car reacted, the way the suspension loaded up on that left front in the data, unloaded all the others. Major tire spin in the rear could have been because the front dipped down. So here we are getting up to speed, just clicking into fifth gear here. On this shorter run, we won't even use 6th gear. 5th is good for over 250 miles an hour. Once I get the gear in, as I'm going frame by frame here, you'll see distortion, but as I get the car into gear, I come back to the steering wheel, kind of a 10 and 2 driving position. So this is where we can talk about kind of what I did wrong leading up to this. We had a couple issues. As a driver, I was honestly becoming a little bit complacent at these speeds, having done, almost 270 a couple of times and been over 250 a whole bunch of times. But, obviously got a new respect for anything, any speed where we can dump the car on its roof. We didn't have time to test and adjust the traction control in the car, so I had it shut off. And I've been able to drive around traction issues before, so that's just kind of what I was doing. The biggest problem that I had at this point is once the car starts losing traction, you can see this blob at the center of the hood scoop. I don't know if you can see my mouse or not. That blob is a fixed point. I don't know what it is at the end of the runway. But what happens is the car bounces a couple of times. You can see the hood scoop bounce up and down on the horizon, and then the rear tires are going to unload. At this point, you can see I've lifted off the throttle. I'm still pointing pretty well straight at that blob. So, every time before this, when the tires would lose traction, I would lift, kind of wait for the car to catch. It would give a little wiggle, and I'd just roll out of it. So I'm kind of waiting right now. I'm off the throttle. I'm waiting for it to catch, and unfortunately it doesn't. So we'll progress along. Car starts rotating. I counter steer a little bit. Obviously we're going for a ride at this point. At some point in here, two things are happening. One, in my head, am thinking, oh man, we're going to spin the car. This is embarrassing. But I'm also thinking, man, we probably should have pulled parachutes. So that is a design issue that I've got to fix. The way the steering wheel is set up, I've got upper and lower buttons. The lower buttons are designed for kind of a launch control setup. Then I transition up to the upper buttons. Left button is scramble boost or nitrous. The right can be nitrous as well. The way I was positioned on the wheel, because I wasn't in high gear and I wasn't at the finish line yet, my left hand was in more of a driving position and hadn't transitioned down to the lower parachute button. That in itself is a flaw on my part. That left hand should never move, and I've got some ideas to fix that. But at this point, as I'm counter steering with my right hand turning left, my left hand is chasing down the wheel, trying to find that little tiny button that's being pulled away from my left hand. So that that whole thing was a problem from the beginning. I don't know that I don't think I actually ever hit that button. I think the chutes deployed when the car landed on the wing and the hatch. I think it just jarred them loose. I don't know that there was enough time for the chutes to deploy completely. They're really, really long tethers on the chutes, so I don't know that they would have come out or not fully. They were inflated by the time we were in the grass, but that was about it. So anyways, I'm playing this little dance with my hands, trying to find that button. Cars going around. It's already starting to pitch over. At this point, obviously, I'm along for the ride. The arrow you can see is really messing with the hood. When it ends up backwards, the wing is really affected, and now it's really pitched over. Again, just hanging on. Here comes the runway. The hood scoop and intake manifold are going to hit first. Unfortunately, the aluminum intake manifold broke open and put debris into the motor, so we had to get that fixed. The dry sump system worked great. We had oil pressure throughout this whole thing. But so windshield broke, came down on the A-post, windshield post on the passenger side, shattered the side window, the safety glass, which did have window tint on it. that'll come in here in a second. So there's your window tint. We're gonna overexpose the camera. My hands stay on the wheel the whole time. My head really doesn't move a whole lot for as tight as the impact, or as hard as the impact was. Here's the window tint all balled up in the center of the shot here. Kind of interesting. With all the switches on the center console, the only thing that really needs to be shut off is the first red switch. That's the master power. That's going to kill ignition, fuel, everything. And here comes my window tint with the number 9 on it coming down. And you'll see once it clears away, the only switch that's now shut off is the one I needed, and that's the master. So take that for what you will. Back on the wheels, you can see my body compresses a little bit. Helmet comes down, not real bad. I was a little sore in the lower back, but that was it, and that only lasted for about an hour. Safety glass everywhere. It scratched the heck out of the inside of the car. The roll cage is all got to be resanded and painted. Okay, coming up, you're going to see a little puff of fire from under the hood scoop. This was the turbo oil drain. Not much we could do to prevent that. It's pretty much the lowest point on the car. So when it came down, it went through the belly pan and damaged that tank and line. And when it hit the grass, it dug in the splitter, messed up the front fenders, actually took the left front fender and jammed it backwards into the door, which became an issue later when I was trying to get out. So we've got fire coming out. About now, I hear a crackle on the radio. I've got a helmet radio, and my crew guys at the starting line have a handheld. It's not really good being this far away as far as reception, so all I heard was a crackle, but I knew they were trying to get a hold of me at this point. You know, it had to be obvious from the starting line. So I'm going to reach down here in a second, and right here I tag the radio button, tell them I'm okay, knowing that I'm not going to be able to hang around for a response. So just kind of let them know, and then reach up. We still got some fire, so I'm going to grab the first fire system, which is the underhood 4 nozzles. Pull that. I was honestly expecting to see, steam, foam, something change other than just fire. So I'm really reefing on it, trying to see why it didn't deploy, which actually it did, but there was just a little bit of a delay there. Because I'm still seeing fire once I pop the belts, I'm going to go back to the fire system, and then I'm going to throw the interior system as well, just for my safety. Obviously the car's messed up. I knew that, so might as well get everything wet. It's a foam system, so I get the belts off, go to pull the window net down, go to open the door, which is where my right hand is reaching. There's a manual release for the door at my right leg, and the door does not open because it's jammed up with the front fender. I ended up kicking on it for a little bit trying to get it open, and then the track crew was right there to get me out. So, and that's about it. So we dragged the car out of the field. The track crew with I guess an army of people went out and cleaned up all the glass and the mess. We dealt with some oil leaks and put the car back on the trailer and drove it 24 hours home. So the plan going forward, we're going to add some more tire, get a wider tire under the front and the rear, which means wide body fenders, increase downforce. This was a really low downforce, low drag setup, designed for a long run. With as much power as we're putting down, I think we just need to back up a little bit and concentrate on traction and straight line stability. So we're gonna change the wing. We're gonna change the exhaust so it's not coming out the fender. Probably change some stuff with the visibility. It was a little bit hard to see out the right side of the car the way it was set up. So the plan is to have it out 100% done for July 2022. Wider, lower, faster, stronger, safer. If anybody has any questions, you can find me online. If anybody has any parts they want to send our way, that'd be great. Or any any information, you know, that you see that we maybe missed as far as the aero, you know, suspension setup, whatever. But we'll stay at it, and we'll keep updating. I've got a GoPro set up in the garage with a time lapse of the rebuild, so that should be coming out at some point. We'll do that in stages over the winter probably, and we'll keep everybody updated on where we're at. So thank you.